Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from the Dead Daisies, Holy Ground, out January 22nd on SPV. This album has 11 tracks, 52 minutes in length, and this is the band's fifth full-length studio album. They're an Australian-American supergroup that keeps proving that rock and roll is not dead. This album is just another brick on that wall. Starting off, I want to mention the structure of the album. I love this record because it has a simple approach to it, easy to digest for the listener. You really don't have to work really hard to grasp the songs, to grasp the concept, to understand what was happening to you as you navigate through this album. The album is built as a journey in which you're not really concentrated on where you started and where you're going to finish. You're never really looking forward. You're keeping your eyes on the road, but you're always enjoying the scenery in that moment in which you stand within that song, not really worry about what is the next song going to sound like. No, you're still concentrated on the track that you're in, you're enjoying that song. When you get to the next track, you'll get there and you're going to have time to enjoy that one as well. So a very fluid, very dynamic structure that allows the album to have great playability. Once you get into the soundscape, I really feel like this is an album that has to be divided into three different faces of rock and roll. Arena style rock and roll, garage band, and small venue, a little bit more gritty sound rock and roll. Those three are alive and well present within this record. You really get a glimpse of all three factors, or like I said, all three faces of rock and roll. Some songs you're going to get more of one, some songs more of the other, and there's some tracks that blend a little bit of two worlds coming together in order to make songs a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting. So this is a record that has great sound from that perspective, very rich, very warm all around, very well balanced across all the different elements, and it's not necessarily heavy, but it has a presence, it has layers, it has texture, it fills in all the gaps. And then when you get into the actual sound itself, there are two elements that are perhaps the motor and the gear shift of this album, and that is the bass and guitars. The bass is definitely the gear shift because it changes the gears as you progress through this record. Very funky, very groovy. Every song has so much bass in it. Now some songs have a lot, some songs have a little bit less, but there's not a single track on this album where you're not gonna hear a groovy, funky bass line at some point in time. And I love that. It adds presence, it adds life, it adds warmth, it makes the overall sound more rich. Like I said, it changes gears for you, it changes direction without really affecting the overall fluidity of the album, without affecting the overall DNA of the record. You're able to change the eyesight of the listener just by including some groovy bass lines and including a lot of bass in the overall sound and the overall presence that this record has to offer. The motor is definitely the guitars. The guitars are definitely the motor behind this album. Starting off with the solos, because I think the solos play such an important role on this record. When you have a heavy rock album like this, an album that has a lot of classic rock elements and has a lot of modern rock elements to it, the solos play an important role, a huge role, if you will. It's really important to understand where the song is going, what do you want to get out of this track, where you want to insert that solo, and what do you want that solo to add to the song. It's all about serving the song, not serving the solo, or not serving the ego of the guitar player. And I felt like that was present on this album. The solos magnified the presence of the songs, electrified the track, it brought life, it brought warmth, it brought energy to the songs. There's not one single solo on this album that's a throw-in. Every single solo fit perfectly within the track, it had a purpose, and it served that purpose. But the leads, the melodies, everything surrounding the guitars on this record are phenomenal. Very driven at times, a little bit grittier than others, always pushing the songs forward, always allowing you to move with the track and feel the presence, feel the aroma of what the song had to offer. I love the overall sound on this album coming out of the guitars. It's so rich, it's so powerful, it has so much electricity built into it. Now, if the bass is the gear shift and the guitars are the motor, the vocals are definitely the driver of this record. Glenn Hughes of Deep Purple, this is his debut record with the band, and he was absolutely magnificent. He's also the man behind the bass, creating all these funky, groovy bass lines. But his vocals were out of this world. If you're designing in your mind the perfect rock album that has a little bit of that old school throwback classic feel, but still has both feet in the present, who better to voice that album than Glenn Hughes? He's phenomenal on this record. He delivers on every single song, and he not just delivers a performance that's consistent from top to bottom, because it is consistent as far as the quality is concerned, but he also delivers a performance that changes or morphs every so often depending on what the needs of the song are. If the song has more of that arena style rock and roll, he almost becomes bigger, he becomes larger than life. If it has more of a garage band style, he takes it down a notch and he serves the song to perfection. The same way the solos and the guitars serve every single track, his vocal performance also serves this album. This is a record that feels honestly almost flawless. There's really nothing that you can look within this record that you could say that doesn't belong there or could have been done better. If you like rock and roll, and if you like classic throwback sound rock and roll, and if you like more of a present modern style rock and roll, this album is for you because it offers a merger of those two worlds. I really feel like those two worlds are coming together to create almost a new style and a new sound that merges those three different faces of rock. So this is a magnificent, nearly flawless. I honestly can't think of anything outside of the box or inside of the box that doesn't fit there as far as this album is concerned. I love it top to bottom. Now, as far as songs are concerned, let's start off with Like No Other. Such a throwback rock gem. That's how this song is. I love how it feels. It has great bass. This is a track that really lives off the bass line. It's not just a line in the chorus. It's not just part of the subtitle of the song. Bassline is really the life force of this track from the beginning all the way to the end. The song really flirts with the past and still keeps the present alive as far as the construction of the track, but also as far as the soundscape is concerned. The verses are a little bit more driven, both musically and vocally. The chorus is definitely more catchy and more hooky. I love the backing vocals in the chorus. They add to that hookiness, they add to that catchiness. It gives almost a little bit of a pop rock vibe to it because it comes across in a very subtle, but in a very magnetizing kind of way, because once you listen to this chorus, you're just going to remember. You're going to sing along and you're going to remember. It has that hookiness, that catchiness to it. I love how this track is put together from that perspective. It has a great guitar solo filled with energy and power that really pushes this song to a next level. This track has great tempo, it has great energy, but when that solo comes in, the song just explodes. It can't hold it in any longer, and it becomes this outburst of energy, this outburst of power. And then right after that guitar solo, you're going to get a bass solo that just turns the grooviness all the way to 11. That's exactly how it feels. This song is just magnificent. This song has great guitars, great bass, great vocals. The three coming together is the trifecta that pushes this track forward. One of the best, in my opinion, the best song, because it really encompasses everything that this album has to offer musically and vocally in one track. Next, Chosen and Justified. I love this song. Guitar offers a lot of grittiness. It has a different approach. It has perhaps a more controlled approach, if you will. The verses definitely more contained. They feel more under control. They feel more one-directional. But then it also feels like it's building towards something. This is a track that, while feeling like you're not really breaking out of the box, you're staying very connected and you're staying moving in one direction. You also feel like you're not just moving in a straight line, you're going upwards. There's always a sense of building towards something. And I really felt that that something was definitely the chorus. The guitars and vocals push you in that direction. And then once you get to the chorus, you realize that the chorus is that peak of the track. It becomes more melodic, it has a bigger presence, both musically and vocally becomes a little bit more powerful. It has a little bit of a kick, a bigger sting, if you will, and it becomes the focal point of how this track is constructed. Every time it dips back into the verses, you know it's going to start to build up, back up again until you get to that chorus. So a song that has a very smooth transition, has a very smooth dynamic, but still very fluid and very dynamic. Now, last but not least, Unspoken. I love this track because it has a very subtle approach. It's a song that has explosive moments. Most of them are coming in the chorus, but it also has a lot of quietness to it. It's almost a power rock ballad because it has a lot of power rock, power ballad, rock ballad. It has all of these elements coming together. They all merge in a very similar way in order to create a song that kind of morphs from one world into the next. The verses are more subdued, they're more calm, they have more of a somber effect to it, and then the chorus has a little bit more energy, it's a little bit more explosive, has a little bit more light in it, so it feels slightly bigger. The chorus is also very hooky, very catchy. It has great bass into it, some backing vocals to really help that essence, to really help that pushing of the song forward. So this is a very interesting track, staying very consistent across both elements, but definitely a song that changes the eyesight of the listener as you move from the verses into the chorus. This is it, guys. This is the Dead Daisies Holy Ground, out January 22nd on SPV. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.